That's good.
How do, man?
You guys. One of your custodians.
Are we ready?
Trying to think who was
Call this meeting to order at 7:03. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded. Review and approval of minutes.
I have some corrections or changes.
Okay.
To date.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a first from Chad and a second from Eric. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review and approval of claims.
How are we doing on getting receipts? What? So people turning in their receipts?
Some of them were, a few, were missing this month.
It's a problem that just won't go away.
How much extra time does it take you to track it down?
It depends how long is their statement. Some of them have 3 pages.
Because it's something that shouldn't be going on. I mean, it's really, it shouldn't happen. I mean, even when going through it, when I went through whatever, I mean, you made sure you got your receipts. You go on a trip, and there's a person in charge of receipts, or whatever you're doing, there's always someone in charge of it. And it shouldn't happen. And so what are our usual, do we have any repercussions for it or anything?
Me sending out an email, going and tracking them down with staff, making sure they come in and turn in their receipts.
At some point, the card has been taken before.
Has,
That seems to be effective. Because when they have to put it on their personal card, they like to get paid back. So they don't lose as many receipts. If they don't turn it in, they don't get reimbursed. So we went that way once for a little while, and it seemed to work. So then they got their cards back. And I don't know, maybe we're back to that point. But that does seem to be the one thing that does work. To me, it's just very frustrating that, most of these are teachers or staff members who expect the students to turn in their homework. And if they don't turn it in, there's repercussions. Usually affects your grade in a negative way. Well, so we're holding our students to a higher standard than we hold our staff.
Well, how many parties was it that didn't turn in receipts?
Well, there was supposed to be more, but then I contacted them and then said.
How many didn't return in their seats?
2
2
this time, yeah.
this time? How many last month before?
What was that, Jake?
How many the month before?
I think it was good last month.
In December? No,
No,
in November,
yeah.
and then 2 in December.
December is, I guess, a busy month.
So those 2 that didn't do it in December, had they previously not done it?
There's one.
That previously didn't do it? How many times had they previously not done it?
Can I count?
Cannot count, thank you.
Any more discussion? Do I have a motion?
Move to pay the bills.
I have a first from Brian and a second from Sarah. All those in favor, motion by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Voided checks.
None at this time.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. This is for anything not on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, moving on to reports.
Ms. Miller, you're up first.
Right, our enrollment at the elementary is down 1 student to 253. So for all the schools, we're at 295. In December, we had, our safety drill, staff party. We had the grades 3 through 5 concert on the 17th. A hearing rescreening for some of our kids that were absent the first time. We had Albertsons come and give stockings to our kindergarten through 2nd grade as part of their grand reopening. I guess they get 250 away every year, and they chose Shelby for this year. It's the best day ever for some of the kids. Very exciting. Christmas program out at Camrose Colony on the 18th, and then Big Rose on the 19th. That was good. I got to go to both of them this year. We had a pause assembly on the 19th, and you can see a picture of our students on that back page. We had class parties and all of that. Then when we returned after the break, we had a rules rodeo to review the expectations with the kids. And then we sent our midterms home on the 10th. So just coming up, we have our PD day on the 20th. And so we have that planned. We have Key Dunning coming to speak with our staff in the morning, and she will be talking about communication strategies with students and staff. And then in the afternoons, both the high school and the elementary, we're going to meet separately, and elementary will be going over data, grade level data, and doing some planning. And then you guys are...
We're gonna meet as a staff real quick, and our staff's gonna finish their semester grades.
Then coming up, we also have access testing, which is ELL, English as a Second Language, testing that we have to do at Big Rose and Camrose. And we have the spelling bee, school spelling bee on the 22nd, ski trip on the 24th. Kyle and I will be gone the 27th and 28th for the principal conference. And then we end the month with a pause assembly.
Any questions for Ms. Miller? Not seeing any? Mr. Fisher, you're up.
All right, so our enrollment bumped up by 5. We're also adding, I believe, another 2 this week, or next week, they'll start next week, so. Up 5 students, we're up 259 there. Month in review, we hosted the Honor Band and Choir Festival at the beginning of December. We took a group of high school kids for the MHSA Aim Higher workshop. It's a leadership workshop. FFA had a Augusta Livestock and Horse competition there. 12th through the 14th, we hosted the Coyote Classic. And then on the 13th, during the Coyote Classic, we didn't have school. Then we had our holiday concerts, the junior high and high school concerts, very well attended. So much, in fact, that we'll have to keep them split because the attendance is so good. Early out on the 20th, and then we resume school on the 2nd. We have junior high and high school semester exams tomorrow and Thursday. That FFA KMON, that was on from previously, and we're not going because of semester testing. So that's my fault for having that on. Then we have the end of the first semester. Like Tony said, we have a PD day on Monday, so just staff will be there. And then FFA will go next week to the district LDEs. Second semester begins, and then they'll also have the FFA Fergus mechanics for the kids, and then we're hosting divisional speech and drama at the end of the month. And then, like Tony said, we have our state principals conference in 2017.
In regards to the divisional speech and drama, I spoke with Jody for a minute, and she did say that they need some finals judges at 2:00. And so if there is anybody that is able to judge, even if you're not able to judge, if you want to come down and watch our students perform, great opportunity to see them competing against the best competition. It's a divisional competition. If you want to see them at state, you have to go all the way down to Billings. So this is a great opportunity to get to see them. And then if you do want to help judge, we do need some finals judges. So it starts at 2:00. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Fisher? All right, moving right along. My schedule, it is starting to get to that busy time of the year. January, February, and March tend to be extremely busy. We have MHSA meetings coming up this next week. We have a day of advocacy. The legislature has gotten started, so there's opportunities to meet with legislators and advocate for rural public education. Then MTSIA, that is the new insurance trust that's being created. We have our board meeting towards the end of the month. We also have state speech and drama that's taking place down at Huntley Project, so in the Billings area. And then at the beginning of next month, or in February, I have the TRS board meeting. It's a teacher retirement system. We've got a lot of different events occurring over the next month before our next board meeting. Just want to get you that information. You have the dates there. Any questions on my schedule over the next month? Not seeing any. Going to move on to action items. Do not have any retirements or resignations. Going to move on to hires. Recommend hiring paraprofessional Samantha Slicker and Dawn Wagner at $15.20 an hour.
I move.
Second.
I have a first from Eric and a second from Brian. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Going to put all of the high school coaches together unless you'd like me to separate them out. Not seeing any. Going to recommend hiring high school head track coach Brennan Hayes at $4,680. High school softball coach Ron Buck, $4,680. High school head golf coach Lisa Clark at $4,680. High school track assistant coaches Zachary Hayes, Miranda Hayes, and Lexi Fisher at $3,510.
So moved. Are you gonna do the volunteer with high school?
Volunteers.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Sarah and a second from Brian. Any discussion?
How many kids did we end up with softball? Do you have any idea?
He's already been running some open gyms. I don't have the exact number.
I believe he said there was 15 at the last open gym. I think.
And
is
we've
what
got
he
our
said.
field situation, I see.
It's on the agenda for later for you guys to approve me to sign that. We got it figured out.
Any more discussion?
Is that agreement in here? Because I did not see that agreement.
Yeah, it
It
is.
Yeah.
It's the maybe third to last page is the signing it, and it is maybe 2 pages long, 3 pages long.
Did we pay them before when we used that field?
We paid them $1,000.
Every time we did?
Yep.
Okay,
This is the same contract that we've had in the past.
that's cool.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Recommend hiring high school wrestling volunteer coach Eric Carey.
I have a first from Jared and a second from Chad. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
We do not have the junior high assistant wrestling coaches to recommend yet. Hopefully I'll have those for next month. Moving on to MHSA proposals. If you've had an opportunity to take a look at these, we've had them for about a month. Recommendations are going to be yes across the board. Would you like to go through each of them individually?
I just have a question about one of them.
Okay, which one?
The first one.
Yes. So right now, we are allowed to have our junior high girls volleyball participate in that sport, and our high school girls basketball, they're able to do both at the same time. If our junior high girls basketball was at the same time as our high school girls basketball, then they would not be able to do both at the same time. And so right now, those schools that have those seasons lined up aren't allowed for the students to participate in both, but those schools that have them separated are allowed to have them participate in both. And so the goal of this bill, or this rule change, would be to allow students to participate in both regardless of where those seasons happen to fall.
Do you see us ever changing as a district, as a district like 1B going to same volleyball?
I believe we're going to do that next year. I believe that's happening right now. I believe Browning and Havre are probably going to move away from participating in our junior high athletics, and we're going to have Fort Benton and some other, I can't remember all of them, but some other schools that are going to begin participating more of a 1B junior high rather than the current structure of junior high. With that said, we've run into issues where we have our girls, we don't run into the same problem with our boys, because our boys, it flows very nicely. We've got our junior high boys basketball, and it flows right into the high school boys basketball season. But our volleyball and our girls volleyball and girls basketball program are always in conflict with one another, with 8th graders and being pulled back and forth between the two programs. So if we can get them lined up in the same season, we feel like we'll have more continuity and have an equal playing field for our girls that we do for our boys right now.
And the kid will be able to play 8 basketball in high school.
If this were to
If
pass,
that's what counts.
they would be allowed to participate in both. I don't know if it's going to pass. Our goal would be to support it. Then it gives us the leeway to do it. That doesn't mean we have to allow it. We can say whatever we want as a board, but this will allow for it if we want to. Right now, it's already allowed for them to participate in volleyball, high school basketball, or junior high basketball and high school volleyball at the same time, but they can't do the same sport at the same time. Any other questions or comments in regards to the proposal? I initially was waffling whether I would be in favor of this or not. Got a call from Tyler, he explained the reasoning behind it. And so my comment to him was, I will recommend that we support it. So it's coming from Sunburst. I feel, if I were to ask them the same favor, I would hope they would support our proposal from us.
The physical examinations for 2 years now.
Yeah, so the idea behind that is to create a more comprehensive physical. Right now, the situation is you need to have it every year, and it has to be, I think it's after May for the following year. And it's a very quick physical. They're running the kids through there as quickly as possible. And the thought process behind this is if we have a 2-year physical, it's going to be a more in-depth process that they're going to go through as far as giving the kid the physical and making sure that everything is okay and not having that rush through it, is the thought process.
Well, how do we know that? How do we know they're not gonna just
Do the same
rushing
thing.
through half as often?
And that's a real period of time where a kid's changing a lot. Again, from that freshman to, I mean, I grew 18 inches, 80 pounds. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't know.
So that's the MHSA proposal. We don't have to support it.
Yeah, because you could catch a heart issue in a kid, I mean, with a lot of growth. I mean, this is your wheelhouse. What do you think?
I'm fine with every 2 years.
Every 2 years, you think that's cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if they notice something going on in the family, hopefully they would take this kid in. You know, it's not the school's fault. Be like, hey, my kid's got, you know.
Some of our kids, that's the only time
I know.
I mean, unfortunately, we do that.
Yeah.
That is part of our, I mean, unfortunately, I think in a best world, maybe that is the best option.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't live in the best world.
No.
Any other discussion or comments, questions on any of these? There is an NIL one. I knew we saw that. Okay. We're one of the last states at the high school level, and I think they're not trying to get ahead of it, but they're trying to have something in place so that it keeps the schools out of it, which this NIL bill does. Kids cannot wear their uniforms, they can't have anything affiliated with their school. There's a kid that's really talented down in Billings, and he has the opportunity to make some money based on his performance down there. They want to allow him to go and sell cars if that's what he's able to do, but he can't wear his uniform while doing it. So it's mainly for those AA situations. I don't see it happening a lot at the B level, but who knows? Maybe our banks are gonna have our athletes go down and advertise for them. Who knows?
So the NIL is a different world.
It is. It's the world we live in right now. So this is just MHSA's way of trying to get ahead of it. You know, they're quite far behind. It's not like other states already having laws or rules like this. I don't see any other questions. My recommendation is to vote yes on all 6. If there is one that you would like me to remove to have an individual vote on, I'm happy to do that. If you don't do anything, we'll be at the meeting not know how we're supposed to vote.
I'm good with all of them.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to say yes on all.
Second.
Have a first from Jared and a second from Jay. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
I,
Knew that was coming.
we're simple. Thing is way big.
Passes 6-1.
Okay,
I'm done.
moving on to significant enrollment increase. You have a letter from OPI in your packet. Shelby High School saw a significant enrollment increase from last year. As a result, we have an increased payment. Willett has done all the paperwork necessary for that, but we do need board approval for it. The new dollar amount, or the additional dollar amount is $19,380. My recommendation is to accept the significant enrollment increase from the Office of Public Instruction for Shelby High School District. So moved.
Does it need to be read?
No, I was just gonna show to you guys the resolution for it.
Second,
I have a first from Chad and a second from Eric. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Moving on to bus driver salary employment package, we still have not had an opportunity to meet. It was busy over the December timeframe, and so we have not had that conversation with them at this point. My goal would be to have something ready to go for the February board meeting. Softball field is the next one. Again, you have that information in your packet. My recommendation is to accept our agreement with the city to use the softball field at $1,000. So moved.
I have a first from Chad and a second from Sarah. Any discussion?
and then this is with us in good faith, trying to get the other, the field ready to go by an order.
It doesn't say that in the agreement.
Okay.
I don't know where we're gonna find the funding
Okay,
to redo our fields at this point.
okay, that's fair.
If we can get some volunteer help or something, I mean, we could get up and running and have the softball field on our facility, but I think there's gonna be some expense that we just are not going to be able to incur at this point.
The guy who sells seed, the guy who has an air seeder. Just an observation.
You guys need to go up and take a look at that softball field in Brown.
If we could do it in one of those fields, I agree. Which field could we do it on?
Just tossing it
So
out.
I think we can do it on one of two fields. My goal, I think, would be to do it on the paved field. I think that's the nicest field, it's the highest, it doesn't get saturated in water. That's probably our best answer.
That soil type there is just not conducive to raising any type of turf. And we really need to to get that to work, it's gonna be a real uphill battle.
We'd have to do essentially the same thing as they did at the high school, right? I mean, we'd have to haul in loads to get it.
You could get it high enough so that, but that salt's gonna percolate all through
But
that
even
whole
if
soil
you put-
profile. I mean,
Like turf too, we'd have the same issue.
it'll die every time. Well, we've turfed it before.
Yeah, I was part of it.
I watched you do it. It died. I told you it would die, and it died.
And that,
Yeah.
it didn't go to heaven.
No, but but it's just a bad location. And the only reason that the football field really is that if you look at that football field, it's basically coned up almost like 30 inches from that soil profile.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, that football field goes like, it's an actual dome out there, you know, and they water that considerably so that it's getting fresh water to those roots. So it'd be a real problem. I mean, I think somehow we need to be over there at a long term, but that's gonna be a fight. It's already been a fight.
We are set up for this next year, though.
We got 1 year. Well, and it's pretty promising you got 15 kids that wanna play. I mean,
We do
because
have,
that has been a bitch of ours for a while. I mean, either you're gonna be successful or not. I mean, and we have not been successful in that. And so if he's got 15 kids that wanna play, then we should somehow figure out how to make it happen.
and we do have some, what seems to be successful younger programs right now, with some of our littler kids not associated with the school right now. Some parents that are pretty involved, and so hopefully we're maybe developing a picture, and maybe some opportunities to see a little bit of success out on the field for softball. Maybe.
But like you said, 15's a lot better than hearing 10.
Well, yeah, we were 7, I hope to get 11, and we got 6 to 7. And so we just need to, I mean, it's great to have them to have the opportunity, but we gotta have enough to not forfeit games, not just be wasting time.
Yeah.
And if they are, you got 15, that's a step in the right direction.
I do have a motion from Chad and a second from Sarah. Any more discussion?
We don't charge for softball games, right?
I'm sorry, once more?
So we don't charge to get into softball games, right?
No, we do
And we
not.
don't host our own concessions or anything.
We do not.
Do other schools?
I think it depends on the facility. For concessions or charging, I don't think anybody charges, but because I think if you go over to Glasgow, I think they've got a facility that allows them to offer concessions. I think there's other schools that have concessions opportunities.
All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, next item is the teacher MOU regarding negotiation timeframe. The teachers did ask for one additional word in there. So if you're looking at the new language on the second line, it says no later than January 10th of the school year. It used to just say of the year. They wanted that school added in there, and so I put that additional word in. Otherwise, my recommendation is to approve the MOU.
Can you explain the differential there? I just like to know, makes no sense to me.
I can't. I don't know, it was asked, and so I said, if they want that, then I'll add it. I didn't get an explanation, it was just requested, and so when I read it, it didn't make any difference to me, so I added it.
Maybe because their contract goes school year and not January to December, they wanted to differentiate between the beginning of the year versus the school year.
Maybe.
I mean, it's semantics at that point, right? It's just, it is what it is. I mean, it's not changing the contract. I mean,
I don't think it changes the intent or anything like that, it's just, they asked for the word, and so I put it in. I probably could have not told you about it, and you never would have known that it was any different. But they did ask me to make one change based on the previous version that you saw, and that was the change that they requested. I don't see any change in meaning, so.
I'm gonna ask for one more change.
You're gonna ask for another change?
Yeah,
Okay,
after number 4,
after number 4, okay?
yeah, well, this agreement's not gonna be dated in 24 anymore, it'll be 25.
Okay.
semantics.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, I will change the date to 2025.
left it that way, we could have done whatever we wanted. Last year's agreement.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first from Jared and a second from Chad. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry, I forgot to hand these out. They're all elementary.
No kidding, no.
I have 3 elementary attendance agreements.
Second.
I have a motion from Chad and a second from Eric. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to discussion items.
First up, trustee election. Angela Len and Brian Eckstead are up for, their terms are up later this year. If you plan on them, you need to fill out the appropriate paperwork and that's what. Roof update, we did finish the fans and the lighting on the roof. There is one more light that needs to be replaced. When Rylan was looking at it, there were 2 lights, but they were kind of cockeyed, and he didn't know where the second one was facing, and so he just put one large one. Well, one of them was supposed to be on its side and facing the flagpole, and so right now the flag is not lit up at night, and so he's gonna go and put another spotlight up so that it is shining towards the flag. So we have one more light that still needs to go up to finish the lighting project on the roof, to get it back to where it was. But otherwise, the fans are installed and working properly, as well as the rest of the exterior lighting. We still have interior things to take care of. Struggling to find somebody that is willing to come in and assess whether the mold situation needs to be, if there is mold, I guess, assess whether there is mold or not, and then replace that. The first person that I had to take a look at it was not willing to do the work until that had been clarified whether there was any mold or not. So I'm trying to work with other entities to try and get that figured out. I want somebody that's going to be able to tear out and replace, rather than bringing in a company to tear out and then hire a separate company to come in and replace, just because I don't want that type of chaos while school is occurring. So that's been a challenge right now. Our insurance company is looking in to try and help us find somebody that would be willing to do both of those jobs. And so it depends on how far we get along that line before we get somebody hired to take care of that. So that's where we're at as far as the roof project stuff. Bus update, no new information at this point, other than, I'm gonna knock on wood. Kyle came into my office today and he said, all of our buses ran this past weekend and none of them failed in any way. They ran their routes, they came back, they ran their trips, they came back, all of them worked. So once again, knocking on wood, we had a good weekend as far as our bus. We'll see what 15 below does on Saturday. Hey, that is our bar right now. It has been a challenge for us to keep buses running and not in the shop.
Well, for what we just paid to get the one bus fixed, I would hope that it's going to make it,
A long time?
yeah.
I agree, yeah. Yeah, it's expensive to get buses fixed, and that's why we're looking at what we're gonna do next. why we're looking at that used MCI. We're just trying to figure out a way to make these things work, because we can't buy an MCI with the funds that we have that's brand new. It either has to be used, or we have to go with some other type of model.
How much did it cost?
What's that? I think. You said, to get it fixed. I think it was like 22,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say 25. So, It's expensive. We finally had our custodial negotiation meeting. The team is here. I thought the first meeting went pretty well. I'm optimistic that we're gonna be able to get something done within the next month. So my goal would be to have that as an action item next month, as long as we're able to finalize that. We are gonna meet again next week. So hopefully we'll move that along quickly. Foreign language teacher, I felt pretty high on this idea. I thought we were going to be able to get somebody. The guy was really confident. I've sent them a couple of emails. It doesn't seem like they have a lot of interest for people wanting to come to Montana with the salaries that we're paying from Spain. So I'm going to continue down that road. Hopefully somebody is going to be interested in that, but I'm less optimistic now than I was, I guess, 2 months ago when I started this process. So unfortunately, that's where I'm at, but I'll continue to work on it and see if we're able to do that. That's all I have for discussion items.
Okay.
Moving on to correspondence. I put the Marias Healthcare at a glance in correspondence. I think that's a better location for it rather than at the beginning. Here's the information: 345 appointments, 361 nurse events, and 431 student health screenings. That's for the current school year. So I believe the school-based health clinic has had an impact. I think that impact has been positive. I think we're continuing to move in the right direction as we figure out best ways to utilize it and how they interact with our system. It's always going to be challenging, but I think we're doing the right thing.
Principals, are you guys happy with how it's going? And I'm gonna say especially maybe the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime we can get our kids the services they need. One thing that we ran into in the past was kids getting transportation and they were missing appointments, things like that. So we gave quite a few rides to appointments and things like that. Now with having it right on site, we don't have to worry about it. Parents can get them there, or we don't have to get them there. They're getting there. They check out and they walk over there. So as far as our building goes, very happy with what's going on. The other thing is that I'm seeing is kids are gone for a half an hour or an hour for appointments, and they're now gone for 4 hours for an appointment process.
Big time.
What's that?
It's big time. Takes a long time.
It is. There's a lot of traffic, but
Also have to stop by the coffee shop.
large traffic,
Large amounts of traffic.
Is there anything that you would like to change? Is there anything, either of you, that you see it?
I think maybe more communication about making appointments, getting that information maybe out to families again, revisiting that so that they're more aware of how to do it and how the system works within the school might be a good idea. I think the mental health part of it has been fantastic. I think I don't have any hard data for this, but I would say that there are more kids that are probably getting that access to and getting the support than if they would have had to go across town or to another, or to Great Falls or something like that.
When we get a new family in town, a new student, is there some orientation or explanation that they're given as to how this works and what's available?
yeah, because they have to fill out a form to be able to get the services and check a box, so it's explained.
Okay.
And in Infinite Campus, like all of our kids that have the agreement signed, there's a flag in our Infinite Campus for each kid. says minus or something, but, then we know right away.
So what percentage approximately do you think you have of people that are filled out the form? Are we batting 500?
I would say at least,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Because the behavioral health aspect was the most important. I mean, that was the goal.
Yeah, and then even for our staff can run over there, do a checkup, and they're on their prep or whatever, and you're not having to take a morning off.
Yes.
So it seems to just kind of lower the temperature in the buildings in general?
Some days.
That was the goal.
It's not a cure-all, but.
Some days is a good answer.
Yeah, it's positive, very positive.
Positive, that's good.
It is, it is, it's been beneficial for our kids and our staff.
And do you have any questions?
I do not.
So that agreement, how, do we have to redo that, or it runs for 2 years, or 3 years, or how long was that? They got
It's a
their
year.
fund? Yeah,
So-
so when does that come up, where are we at there?
We do it every year, so.
I know, but
so
don't-
they-
isn't they get some type of funding for that, they got,
So,
how many years did that run?
I thought it was 3 or 5 years, I can't remember exactly, but, so they wanted a longer contract. We got through that first year and there were little hiccups here and there, and so I was unwilling to recommend anything longer than 1 year, because I feel like that 1 year allows us to hold them accountable, and when we get to where it's smooth sailing, maybe we sign a 3 year at that point, but in this initial phase, I like the idea of having the flexibility of a 1 year, say, hey, you've got to meet us halfway to make sure that we're getting what we need, and if not,
Well, because that grant that they received, they said that at the end of that grant period, they were gonna reevaluate. What point is that grant period ending? We need to know that, because at that point, we're gonna, if the services you feel are necessary, we've gotta have some planning going down the road at that, because I remember when we agreed that there was a period that grant was good for.
yeah, I can send Ricky a message. My understanding is they plan on continuing to be able to offer these services. But that
Until
looks
it
like,
costs them money, and then they're not gonna do it, so that's where it's gonna go.
I'll ask that question to Ricky. Okay?
No more correspondence? Okay, me either. Next board meeting will be February 11th at 7 PM. We'll take a 5-minute recess and then go into superintendent evaluation closed session, and then we'll reopen just to adjourn.